Alrighty, so give me a green check mark if you understand your enhancement session and that is a course criteria. And that is a proactive call. So we're not calling you, you're calling into us. All right, step 4 is going to be the application. Once you've met all the course criteria, we've gone through everything, we've checked, we have what's called 3-tier checking. So as the instructor, it'll be Ms. Billy's role to check your work. As the coach, it'll be my role to check your work, double check for something different. And then at the end, we'll do a check together. So it's called 3-tier checkpoints. You guys will have 3 opportunities to basically ensure back and forth that you have everything you need and meeting all the course criteria. So once that is done, the CDA application will be done. So candidate must identify a home visitor professional development specialist, which we'll do together, that meets the language of the application. Candidate sends to the council the paper application along with the fee for Anna will be taking care of yours. For Jennifer, I believe we'll take care of yours. I think it's in your fee schedule. And then Yvonda, you'll be taking care of your application when you're finished, okay? So, but we will talk about it and you'll have all the information, the transcript included. So you'll receive a transcript, you'll receive a readiness letter. So you'll know when when it's time to do this application. We'll talk about it a lot closer to that time. The candidate receives approval that the application is complete and the fee has been processed. So you'll receive something in your email telling you that you're ready for this final step. Within 6 months, the council will have the approval of completed application. CDA verification visit will be conducted, a review of your professional portfolios. You'll have a conversation, which will be your questions. You'll have your transcript and then your certificate. You'll receive an observation visit. So someone will actually come to one of your home visits. And then for Yvonda, someone will be actually coming into your family child care environment to observe you. So for that day, you want to put support in place to support you through your process, or you can schedule it right at the end when you're closing, so that you can have time to do the additional components. Okay, so that's going to be something that you're going to be very proactive with and talking to your PDS to make sure that you have enough support for that particular day. All right. Oh, family questionnaire. I'm sorry. And your family questionnaires will be completed. Thank you, Ms. Billy. Okay. So you have your and your observation will happen and then what's called a reflective dialogue. So the enhancement sessions will also support you in being prepared to be able to have that reflective dialogue, being very confident about what's in your portfolio. We'll ask you questions that will be similar to the PDS questions during those enhancement sessions. And there are 12 enhancement sessions that are set up for you guys, okay? So a lot of this will support this component. After the CDA verification visit, home visitor CDA PDS will send the CDA verification scores to the council online. The council will make the final decision to award or deny the CDA credential. So there is no exam for the home visitors. Yolanda, I'm double checking your criteria. There, I believe there is give me 1 second. I'm looking at it, double checking it for you guys. Okay, so there is an exam for you, Yolanda. We go through everything in here as if there is an exam for everybody. So there are some poll questions and some other things that are going to help you through your exam. Okay, Yolanda. So it's all full preparation. Don't worry, you're not going to miss anything. If I have any concerns, I'll definitely pull you to the side and let you know and tell you we can get additional information about things if I see that. But there is an exam. It's 65 questions and it is multiple choice. It's not like a definition exam. It's about the practice of the exam. So they're looking for practical experience. Okay, it's like a practical exam. All right. Any questions about the CDA credential process as far as these steps are concerned or where you fit into? Remember, our program is the 12-week program. So, of course, you'll be finishing before the 6 months. And then those day-to-day enhancement, excuse me, the weekly enhancement sessions will also support us through completing that process and staying on track. The goal is to have the CDA criteria met from beginning to completion with transcript in hand at the end of the 12 weeks. And for you, Yvonne, exam. Nope, it's not timed, Yvonne, it's not timed. Jennifer, I saw you type, and did I answer your question or did you have an additional question? Okay, cool. All right, so I'm clear you guys' status. Then we're going to move on from here. One more time, everybody's clear. Just give me a green check mark if you understand what you're doing, why you're here, what we're moving towards. Perfect, perfect. All right. Okay, there's a couple of housekeeping things I have to go through real fast for us. Give me a second. Alrighty, so this is our website. There's lots of resources here for home visitors. So if you get a chance, you want to go to the home visitor link. And on the sidebar, a lot of these resources over here we'll probably be using. So where you see the articles and resources, parents, teachers, CEFL, what the home-based option is and what that criteria is, home visitor effectiveness, home visitor handbook, expected development, and social thinking. Yolanda, your resources are under family child care. As you can see, a lot of them are the same. I think actually they are the same. Okay. So EHS, your EHS family child care, this EHS home based option. So a lot of it is going to match hand in hand in everything that we talk about when we start talking about this as an option. Okay. So both everybody on the line is Head Start. So we're all in the same page, game basically, doing the same thing. Couple of things to consider here are the academic honesty policy. All of these policies are located at the bottom of our website: academic honesty, privacy, and misrepresentation policy. We take these things very serious as we are moving into the direction of preparing you guys for overall academic readiness. If you have not had the opportunity to participate in formal education on a higher level education, then these are going to be the exact same things that you'll be responsible for if you enter into any technical college or university. We are considered a vocational tech institute. So we do follow the same criteria based on our funding and our support systems. We have to have these things in place as well. So our academic honesty policy, all students are expected to act with civility, personal integrity, respect other students' dignity, rights, and property, and help create and maintain an environment in which all can succeed through the fruits of their own efforts. An environment of academic integrity is requisite to respect for self and others and a civil community. So we must all just kind of respect each other in the environment, what we talk about, not sighing, sucking our teeth, rolling our eyes, even though we can't see any of those things. We just need to be respectful that everyone may have questions a little bit differently. Academic integrity includes a commitment to not engage in or tolerate acts of falsification, misrepresentation, or deception. We hold these things very, very highly as a program. Falsification can be giving information or work that is not yours. Misrepresentation is turned in a binder that you clearly did not create. And then deception is to deceive or to act as if you've completed something that you actually have not completed. So telling us, oh yeah, I have that already. Oh, I pulled that. I definitely have that. Oh, I just left it somewhere and you know you haven't done it. Those things are not acceptable. Oh, yeah, like and also representing yourself in a particular position that you're not actually in. So if you're not a home visitor, but you're pre-K or you're infant toddler or even an admin staff, it definitely takes time away from what we're doing because the questions and things of that nature that you may be asking us are completely different and placing you in the wrong classroom environment, and that will cause frustration for yourself as well as other students. Such acts of dishonesty, including cheating or copying, plagiarizing, submitting another person's work as one's own, using internet sources without citation, taking or having another student take your exam, tampering with the work of another student, facilitating other students' acts of academic dishonesty, etc., are all frowned upon in our program. Facilitating other students' acts of dishonesty is when you're working with a group and you say, oh, don't worry about it, just use mine, or don't worry about it, that program doesn't look that much for that information. That will be facilitating. Sanctions for breaches in academic integrity may range depending on the severity of an offense from an F grade on an assignment or test to an F in the course. Severe cases or repeat offenses of academic dishonesty may also result in more severe disciplinary sanctions up to and including suspension or expulsion. One of the things we do ask you guys to do is read this plagiarism policy. You will, that's one of your assignments for the week. Go through the plagiarism policy, take notes on one of the assignments, and then issue a statement of commitment. A statement of commitment is just clearly stating, I agree not to plagiarize or participate in academic dishonesty. It's just a statement. It's not that deep, but we do request that you do it. Any questions about academic policy, the plagiarism link, or how to get here? Let me know if you guys are fine. Please let me know in the chat. Okay. Yvonne, Anna, any questions? Okay, thank you. Okay. The next policy that we have is the privacy policy. We may go over 15 minutes today. Is that okay for everyone, or does someone need to just jump off at exactly the time frame? Okay. Our privacy policy is when I'm not going to read all this. Our privacy policy does include the data, the processing, disclosure of information, where your information is going, the securities of the information, copyright, trademark. You want to go through it and kind of read it. The important components that apply to this program is that our program does agree with, or excuse me, is compliant with the Privacy Act of 1974, the U.S. Privacy Act of Pupils, Family Privacy Protection Act, if someone tries to call and get your information, we also are compliant with that. The South Carolina Department of Employment and Workforce Law Acts, any WIOA program, vocational institute or entity must abide by these components here. And if you're curious about what they are, you're more than happy to read them. Federal State Unemployment Commission program, which means that our confidentiality and disclosure of state information, such as your social security number, if we have to get it, or your CDA student ID, will not be disclosed to anyone or sold. Tax information security guidelines for federal, state, and local agencies, IRS publication. We secure that information, office management and budget. We have to abide by that component. Family Education Right and Privacy Act, which is also what you guys are compliant to as Head Start. You want to read that, and this is actually one of your resources that you collect. So you want to grab that, and we'll talk about that more. Workforce Innovative and Opportunity Act. We also are compliant with that, and Protection of People Rights Amendments, PPRA amendment. So these are the regulations and the laws that our program has to abide by. So sometimes there are things that will happen where we can't give your agency certain information about your program or where you are in the program. There are areas where we can give information, but if we say we can't give that information or you need to supply it directly, it is because of one of these applicable laws or regulations, okay? Including why we cannot accept work through email, okay? So we do have a portal that we'll go through for some of you guys after class or on our enhancement day, but you know, that in itself is the reason we don't accept email work. All right. Misrepresentation policy is also one of the policies that we ask that you guys read before you even start class. There is an expectation that the student enrolled in a certificate or credential course will attend as scheduled and perform their own work on all assignments. Exams should be taken with honor, integrity, and professionalism. Tips for Child Care Institute has a zero tolerance policy for misrepresentation and ethical behavior. Misrepresentation again, giving someone else's work, going on the internet, using samples, all of that stuff are things that we just don't tolerate. Unethical behavior is to continue to be combative about the work that you're turning in, continuing to repeat the same behaviors over and over again, or trying to manipulate the situation or system in any way to be perceived as if it is accurate. So be careful about that. Misrepresentation includes but is not limited to someone other than the student attending a credential course, completing self-paced courses, or portfolio work. Publishing in any manner, whether written or oral, coursework, course portal, model of program, handouts, assignments, projects, exam questions, or results. Anything or any win that we get of any of these things happening will be taken very seriously and questioned, including the misrepresentation or the violation of intellectual property. The performance or submission of assignments or exams that is not the work of the student. That includes bibliographies, that includes your competence statements, that includes your resource collections that you are not getting, which is also why we don't hand them out, and we ask you to print off the site in which you've gathered your information so it's not being used or misrepresented. So we do protect you in the intellectual property laws and violations as well. The decision as to whether a student have engaged in misrepresentation is the sole discretion of Tips for Child Care Institute. Upon determination of misrepresentation, Tips for Child Care Institute shall immediately expel the student and block any funding agency from the course. Any and all MOAs with that agency and Tips for Child Care Institute may be subject to termination. Any refund will be forfeited with any funding will be forfeited with no refund. All monies provided for credential will be subject to documentation fee and coaching fees. All students engaging in misrepresentation will be permanently removed. So it's something that we do not take lightly. Any questions or comments about that component? Okay, perfect. Alrighty, and our last component to go through today. Okay, so this is going to be like your success rating scale. It's going to help you. We call it success rating scale, but things that you want to watch for and personally pay attention to for the successful completion of your process, okay? Because this is very keen to your personal success. Lack of progression. If you find yourself in an area where you're not progressing, you're doing enhancement sessions, and we're just not seeing you move in the way that we need you to move, where you're not really feeling like you're moving properly. Check for time management. It's generally an indication that maybe you just haven't put enough time aside for the process. We request that you put anywhere between 5 and 10 hours a week towards this process. You may also have maybe limited experience in that area. So if you're new into home visitation or family child care, just remember some of the things you may not make the connections early on, and you may want to make sure that you're reading through things or you're asking more questions in class, because that also could be a reason why you may not be progressing. You may not have previous training. So if you're not progressing and you had no training, make sure that you use the enhancement sessions to your advantage. Ask more questions. We may be able to offer you additional resources so that you can feel more comfortable during your process. Overcommitment, we see that all the time. Maybe you're overcommitting and you're not really, again, putting time out for it. Make sure that you put a support system in place, because this is the other reason we see people not progressing, is maybe you don't have support in your personal environment, or you haven't put enough support in for the time that you need to take aside. Maybe if you have low technology skills, and you may want to go to the library and ask for additional support for uploading information or attaching, learning how to do attachments, that sort of thing. Personal commitment. Watch your personal commitments, please. We ask you to just watch your homework and balance. Home and work balance. Make sure that you put enough systems for your family in place for this next 12 weeks, and balance things out. And then when you're in class, watch for distractions. I know that's an old school telephone there, but watch for your distractions on your telephone. Maybe you have distractions from television being on while you're in class, or people walking back and forth and asking you questions. So minimize your distractions to make sure that maybe you're just not missing something from the classroom environment. If you get into enhancement sessions and we're saying, wait a minute, go back to your notes, look at that, and you really don't remember hearing it, but it's in your notes, just remember that information overload does happen sometimes. And if you're trying to multitask and do something, you may miss something pertinent. It's only an hour of your time. Please try to give it and dedicate it fully. So limited resources, maybe you have limited resources and don't maybe understand things. So, or don't have access to internet in an environment. So again, you want to go back and put these systems in place. And if you're having a lot of technology challenges, there is I have a like a computer class that you can take on your own time. And it's on this website called Easy Peasy, and it'll just give you a little bit more in understanding the basics of the computer so that you can feel more comfortable and confident. If you find yourself slowly progressing through the process, feeling overwhelmed, maybe your home and work balance is out of control, or maybe you're finding yourself, where you're not really taking care of yourself, just pay attention to that. These, excuse me. These are some of the signs of why you may be slowly progressing. So it's a 12-week process, but you find yourself kind of like, oh, I haven't had a chance to do that, or these type of things. Go back to putting your systems in place. If you're overwhelmed, discuss why you're overwhelmed in your enhancement session. Allow your coach to give you strategies. If it's home and work balance, put yourself on a schedule, use your bells and whistles, become a little bit more disciplined in what you're doing. And if you're feeling like, oh, I'm just so tired, make sure that you're resting. Give yourself time and take care of yourself. And eating properly. Every once in a while, just kind of swinging it. I guess I'm doing okay. If you get to this point and you're just feeling like, um, you just turned in enough to get by, may have some of these are some of the signs of someone just getting by, and maybe you're just not owning your situation. You have some of the resources turned in, you have some of the statements, you have some of the activity, but nothing is organized. And at the end of the day, you're just not sure if you're going to complete your goals. Let us know, let us support you through this process. Definitely start taking time to recognize. And you may hear us say, okay, it looks like you're just okay. These emojis will also come with your feedback forms. So when you get your feedback form and it comes into one of these scales, then you kind of know this is where we're saying in your readiness that you're just slowly progressing, you're not progressing at all, and you're just kind of okay. All right. So you don't want to be in any of these first three categories. You want to find yourself more into this particular category. You want to be on target. You want to be efficient in what you do. You've completed your coursework, meeting your goals and your deadlines. I, ha- I have. I'm prepared. Excuse me. I'm prepared for the PDS visit. I have my portfolio organized with resources printed out and everything in sheet protectors. I've completed all of my work as assigned. I am participating in weekly enhancement sessions. This is going to be an indicator that you are on target. And this is where we all want to get very, very excited. You've completed all of your work as assigned. You've attended all of your enhancement sessions. At the end, you're going to feel very confident that you're going to meet your goals and you'll be ready to have your PDS visit and rock. Okay? So it's so important for us to get to this place. We all want to be here, right? So these emojis will be on your feedback after every enhancement session, and we want to make sure that you get there and become very, very successful. Any questions about the skill or what you're going to see as far as getting back information that shows that you're progressing, and these things again will come weekly for you guys, and they'll be on everything that you receive. And this is where we will support the agency's investment. Your agency will receive the same feedback form that you receive. Okay, one more presentation. I thought that was it. I'm sorry. One more. And this is going to be on what you're writing in our session, what we want you to do, and how we want you to achieve your writing goals. And I think you'll see this one again, but want to go ahead and get it into the first orientation as well to just kind of help you to know. One of the big things with your CDA criteria is your writing. Things need to be yours, your ideals. You hear us talk a lot about plagiarism. We're going to actually start to write within the first 2 weeks. So the first thing that you're going to do is get a lot of resources collected. After that, we're going to hit the ground running with our writing. As we're writing, we want to think, what is the best idea ever? Think about what you want to write about. If you haven't written in a long time, we're definitely encouraging you right now to just kind of freshen up on your writing, watch the styles of writing, do little things for yourself so that you can feel more comfortable. Your first writing assignment is, why did you become a home visitor or family child care um, provider? So think about what it is that you're writing. So that's your first assignment. Why did I become a home visitor? Why did I become a family child care provider? I'm going to write that down. As you're writing, we don't want you to run to Google and start cutting and pasting samples and trying to fit your ideals in there. We need you to figure out how to narrow it down. So your first step is, what is my experience and what's my expertise? Which is why it's so important for that 480 hours. Even as you're going into the centers and you're coming in and into the homes, you want to just start thinking and watching, what am I good at? What was I able to rock during that visit? What made that visit go well? So this is your experience, your expertise. The second thing is, what is your passion about anything that you're doing? What drives you? What makes you keep coming back? It's the families or the children, the way that they look at you when they're processing the information. How about when their light bulb goes off? That is what this is about, your passion. The third thing that you want to think about as you're writing, even a statement about why I became a home visitor or a family child care provider. Connect the dots, really narrow it down with, connect your training. What have you been taught? Start thinking about those things. What have I been taught? What was I trained on? What were my safety guidelines? What can I do? What I'm not able to do? Connect the training. When you went to training, what great ideas did you leave with? Everyone has to do a certain amount of pre-service. In that pre-service training, even the training that we're doing here today, and we're talking about these things, think about how you can connect it with your writing. Step 4, think about your commitments. What are your commitments to children? What are your commitments to the families that you serve? What are the commitments to the employers that you serve? What are the commitments to the communities that you serve? Think about your overall commitment, your commitment to safety, your commitment to health, your commitment to safe learning environments, your commitment to social emotional development of the children, the developmental appropriateness of your component. What are your commitments? So just in your notes right now, give an example of a commitment. Maybe throw in 3 commitments. Commitment to children, commitment to families, commitment to community, your commitment to your employer. Why are you here? And you're going to think about this step every time you write. So you can do a screenshot, you can take a picture of it with your phone. You want to come back to this step frequently. Step 5, include your strategies. What are the strategies that you take, or your approach? What is your approach? What is intentional about what you do? What's your style, so to speak? What are the strategies that you do to come as you commit to working with children, as you come into the environment and you're thinking about where the mom is positioned or the dad is positioned, where the table is positioned, where the children are going to be positioned, how much material to bring. Yolanda, as you're planning out your day, where the children are going to be positioned, where your furniture is, how much supplies to pull out at a particular time based on the ages of the children. Do you have enough supplies? Do you have enough books? What is the strategy that you use to pull off an activity or pull off a commitment? And step 6, theory and practice. What is the theory around it? Developmental appropriateness, the approach to learning, ages and stages of development, again, social, emotional, where the children are, how they're grasping information, what they're exposed to. All of that is your theory. And then your practice, your implementation. How are you implementing the strategies that you set forth? So this is how you can narrow down your writing. So your first assignment, for example, is, why did I become a home visitor? You can look at your expertise or your experience. When I was younger, I was exposed to da 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 system, and this system supported me through XYZ. Or there was a great individual who I ran into and it was awesome. Jennifer, yours, the first day that I shadowed, oh, the light bulb went off, the passion was there. I really enjoyed it and jumped in it. Yolanda, if it was a ministry for what you're doing for your church, recognizing the need in the community, any of those things would be considered your experience and your expertise. Okay. So the second step, how would you put that in? Once that light bulb went off and I realized that this was something that I wanted to do, my passion set forth. I started to think about it. I started dreaming about it. I started mapping it out. I just couldn't stop thinking about it. I was driven to it. Or it could be, I really didn't see the passion at first, but then when my supervisor started telling me that I had that I was able to do my documentation properly, my parents started calling me regularly, and when I went back and I saw the children and the parents were doing, I knew I had a passion. I had a way of doing this. So you want to discuss how passion occurred. The next thing, in my previous job or when I volunteered or in my church, I was taught about always treating people with respect, giving people dignity, being allowing people to maintain their dignity, treating everyone as an individual. I was taught that through interaction with my family, my parents, wherever you were taught, whatever the training is, make that connection. Okay, it could be formal training in a classroom, or it could be how you were reared, or it could be what you were exposed to, or what you do outside of what you're doing now. That is the connection to training. After making that connection, I realized that I was committed and dedicated to this. I was committed and dedicated to my walk as a home visitor or my walk as a as a family child care provider, and I was thinking of my commitment to my children and my commitment to my families, and recognizing that I have to be dedicated on top of this for whatever reason. So you want to start specifying that commitment, really, really thinking about the commitment and being specific about that particular commitment. Step 5, once you've done that sentence or that paragraph, excuse me, guys, 1 second. Thank you. Once you've done that step and you start thinking about that, what were your strategies? Some people step out their strategies. My strategies include making sure that my day starts with sanitized um, I got material for the children or toys for the children. Or my strategy, I start my day with my planning, or I start my day looking at the resources that I have in front of me. So everyone's starting their day differently. You want to step out how you start your day. How do you make the connection from your expertise to what you're doing? What are the intentional strategies that you use? Intentional teaching strategies is what the CDA calls them. So you want to start thinking about that. And that in itself can be mapped out into steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or even bulleted in your writing. But you want to make sure that each writing component that you do, you have something that includes your strategies and your steps. And then after you do that, you talk about the theory. And the theory in itself, you're going to be able to make the connection, because one of the projects that you'll do is research 5 theorists. So that'll become more clear to you as you research those 5 theorists, and you want to talk about that theory. Maria Montessori, my theory really matches or mirrors what I learned about Maria Montessori, or Maria Montessori's theory of natural environments really makes a difference when I'm working with the children that I serve. And then what your practice is. What are you actually doing? So you planned out your strategy, but what is the implementation piece of your strategy? Any questions on this one? Again, take a picture of it. We'll revisit this one frequently, but I do want you guys to kind of have it and know what it looks like, and it's something we'll go over more frequently. Okay, I only have like a minute left, okay? Any questions about this, guys? I know I said I needed only 15 minutes, sorry. Okay. Maria, Anna, you're good with this? Did you get a screenshot of it or a picture? Excuse me, Jennifer and what did I say? Oh, I'm sorry. And then Jennifer. Okay. All right. Okay, I have one more thing to show you guys, and then we will actually be completing our session for today. Your work today is going to be the general resource guideline. And I don't want you guys to worry about how to get it to me today as much as just getting it completed. Give me a second, let me pull it up. Now, this general resource collection list is going to be your first assignment. It's going to be in your portal, but Jennifer, I may need to, I'm going to let Anna go because Anna's already in her portal. I don't think that Yvonne's in her portal either, but I'm not going to hold you, Anna, for this because you're already in your portal. Okay. Do you still know how to get into your portal, Anna? Okay, no problem. Alrighty. So Anna, this is gonna be the first, and if not, then of course we have that enhancement session, and then I will extend where you guys can go ahead and call me on Tuesday if you have questions, because I know we ran over. Okay. For the student feedback, excuse me, this is going to be what's considered a student feedback form, but this is also your checklist. This one here is going to be everything that you need to research and print off. So your resource collection is going to consist of, for the general resources, which is your first assignment, and all of this is due by next week. 2 weeks. Okay, Miss Billy said to give you guys 2 weeks to do it. 2 weeks, okay? So at least by next week have half of this list done, the first half, and then the next half by the next week, okay? And that'll at least give us an opportunity to talk about the first half next week. So from first aid through lead information handout is going to be the first part of this handout, okay? That needs to be completed. You're actually going to just research, like Google, first aid policies and procedures, and you're going to print the actual site off, like print it off. And you should have a paper printed sheet of it and place it into your sheet protector. If the agency has first aid policies and procedures in a part of a packet that they gave you, that will be acceptable as well. And these should be geared towards like Head Start because that's what you guys work with. Hand washing guidelines, that's going to be your steps for your hand washing. Well, place the soap, wet the hands, lather, that's what you're looking for, the steps. Sanitizer solution recipe is the bleach water solution recipe, not the back of the sanitizer, the bleach water solution recipe. Sanitizing procedures, how you clean your toys, that's going to be what that is. Diapering procedure, you need it even though you're home visitors, you still will need to know it. CACFP meal pattern, My Plate, Breast is Best, handout campaign handout, safe sleeping handout, CDC milestone checklist. So all of these things can be Googled and printed. That's going to be very important to the success of our next component. All right. Any questions about this? I'm going to tell you how to get it in a second, but I know Anna needs to go. And if anyone else needs to go, then you can definitely give me a call back even later today and we can go through it. But if you're still good for staying, I'm going to keep on going. Anna, this is going to be on your portal. Okay, you can stay. Okay, cool, cool, cool. And then Yvonne, can you stay a little bit longer? Okay. Oh, okay, guys. I'll keep going. Alrighty. So this is going to be on your portal, and I'm getting ready to show you how to get it so that you can print it off, okay? Give me a sec.